The Stranger is frequently described as a novel about emotional emptiness, apathy, or moral deficiency. These readings persist because Meursault does not behave the way readers expect a moral subject to behave. He does not explain himself, justify his feelings, or translate experience into symbolic meaning. Yet this misunderstanding misses Camus' central achievement. Meursault is not empty, he is precise. He does not lack feeling. He lacks the impulse to dramatize feeling. He experiences life directly, through physical sensation, immediate awareness, and unfiltered presence. Camus uses this radical directness to expose how much of moral life depends not on sincerity, but on performance. The novel unsettles because it refuses to reassure. It does not explain grief in elevated language. It does not frame suffering as meaningful. It does not redeem death through narrative. Camus is not attacking morality itself. He is attacking the lies we tell to protect it. From the first line, Camus signals that this will be a confrontation, not a story designed for comfort. Meursault does not invite sympathy. He invites recognition. And what we recognize disturbs us because it exposes how deeply our sense of morality depends on conventions rather than truth. Meursault lives almost entirely in the present tense. He notices heat, light, hunger, fatigue, desire. These experiences are real to him. Abstract interpretations are not. He does not search for hidden meanings beneath events. He accepts what occurs as what occurs. Camus is not celebrating simplicity here. He is showing what life looks like without metaphysical decoration. Meursault does not deny death. He refuses to disguise it. He does not deny love. He refuses to exaggerate it. He does not deny suffering. He refuses to mythologize it. This way of being makes Meursault socially unintelligible. Modern societies rely on shared symbolic frameworks, emotional scripts that allow people to understand one another quickly. Meursault refuses these scripts. He answers questions honestly rather than appropriately. When asked whether he loves Marie, he says that it does not mean anything, but that he enjoys being with her. This answer is not cruel, it is accurate. Yet accuracy itself becomes a violation. Meursault fails not because he is immoral, but because he refuses to pretend. Camus uses Meursault to show how honesty, when stripped of illusion, becomes socially dangerous. The funeral scene establishes the novel's moral conflict long before the murder occurs. Meursault does not cry. He does not express grief in visible form. He does not dramatize loss. This absence becomes evidence against him. Camus shows how grief functions as a public ritual rather than a private experience. Mourning reassures others that death has meaning, that bonds endure symbolically even when bodies vanish. Meursault's refusal to perform grief threatens this reassurance. Importantly, Camus does not tell us that Meursault feels nothing. He tells us that Meursault does not lie. The novel's tension arises not from emotional absence, but from emotional refusal to exaggerate, sanctify, or invent. This refusal marks Meursault as an outsider. Society interprets his silence as indifference, and indifference as moral danger. The novel quietly suggests that what society fears most is not cruelty, but emotional ambiguity. Before any crime is committed, Meursault has already violated the moral order by refusing its rituals. The killing itself is stripped of psychological depth. Camus deliberately removes motive, ideology, and emotional explanation. The murder occurs under oppressive heat, blinding light, and physical disorientation. It is not planned. It is not justified. It simply happens. This is one of Camus' most radical moves. Violence is usually explained to make it morally manageable. Camus refuses explanation. He forces the reader to confront an act that resists narrative coherence. The absence of motive is not a flaw, it is the point. The murder does not align with moral expectations. It does not confirm a theory of evil or trauma. It reveals the absurd. the collision between human demands for meaning and a world that does not provide it. Meursault does not retroactively invent a reason. He does not translate the act into guilt, hatred, or redemption. This refusal is intolerable to society because meaninglessness cannot be punished in familiar terms. Camus shows that violence without explanation is more threatening than violence with motive because it undermines the belief that moral order can always be restored through understanding. The trial is not about justice, it is about narrative repair. Society must explain Meursault, categorize him, and neutralize the threat he represents. The court becomes a stage where meaning is reasserted. Meursault is judged less for killing a man than for failing to cry at his mother's funeral. His private life becomes evidence. His honesty becomes pathology. The crime itself fades into the background. Camus exposes the machinery of moral judgment. Society punishes not only acts, but deviations from emotional expectation. Meursault is condemned because he refuses to lie in order to appear human. The prosecutor constructs a story in which Meursault's emotional honesty becomes proof of monstrosity. The verdict restores moral comfort by eliminating ambiguity. Justice here is not corrective, it is symbolic. The execution affirms that the world makes sense, that morality is intact, and that meaning has been defended. Camus leaves us deeply uneasy because we recognize the verdict as socially necessary, but morally hollow. What society cannot tolerate in Meursault is not murder alone. It is the exposure of the absurd. Meursault lives without appeal to God, destiny, or narrative consolation. His existence suggests that life may not justify itself. This is the real scandal. A man who kills can be explained. A man who refuses meaning cannot. Camus suggests that society punishes Meursault to protect itself from existential vertigo. If Meursault is right, if the universe is indifferent, then moral structures lose their metaphysical foundation. The trial restores order by silencing this possibility. Meursault becomes a scapegoat for a truth society cannot confront directly. The chaplain's visit represents the final attempt to reclaim Meursault for meaning. God is offered not as argument, but as consolation. Meursault refuses, not aggressively, but lucidly. His refusal is not atheistic pride, it is experiential honesty. He will not accept comfort that requires denying what he knows, that death is final, that the universe is silent, and that meaning is not guaranteed. This moment marks Meursault's transformation. He embraces the absurd fully, without resentment. The universe's indifference becomes a source of peace rather than terror. Camus is careful here. This is not happiness, it is clarity. In the final pages, Meursault does not discover purpose. He abandons the demand for it. By doing so, he frees himself from fear. Camus presents acceptance without consolation as a form of dignity. Meursault does not escape death, he escapes illusion. He no longer needs the universe to justify him. The novel ends not with moral resolution, but with lucidity intact. That lucidity, maintained without appeal, is Camus' answer to the absurd. The Stranger is not a defense of amorality. It is an indictment of false morality. It reveals how often society values appearance over truth, comfort over honesty, and narrative over reality. Meursault is not a hero, he is a mirror, and what he reflects is unsettling. Camus does not ask us to live like Meursault. He asks us to recognize the cost of refusing illusion, and the greater cost of demanding it from others.